Yeah, about the, I think I saw a comment there. The question was from Bobby Fairview. He says, so what's the speculations about Lukaku? I heard something, but I'm not sure, quite sure what it is. The rumors say he's got COVID, so he's out of the team. So I'm not sure how true that is. And please let me know that you can hear me now. Says, so what's the speculation? Lukaku, Cho Havertz, and Werner down with COVID. I don't think it's all of them. I checked what I have here from this application that I trust so much and I use them. It's, it looks like true. It says Timo Werner out with COVID-19 a few weeks. Romelu Lukaku late December COVID-19. Yeah, Callum Hudson-Odoi, COVID-19. Oh, it's actually an outbreak at Chelsea right now. That's an unfortunate situation for us. And wow. Yeah, I think there were rumors before. I saw it from a tweet from my friend Tom Overend. He said he will not believe it until he hears that from an official source. But from what I'm seeing, I trust this guy so much. It's looking like it's serious. And hopefully that's not the case. And please do let me know if you can hear me now, because we had an audio issue that I had to switch off and then fix. Yeah, it is a very scary situation. The COVID thing is getting even more dangerous. The new variant they call, what did they call it again? The Omicron variant. They say it is very, very infectious. So please, if you can, just go get the jab. It doesn't hurt. It's nothing it doesn't change your DNA or anything like the rumors say or anti-vaxxers say. It just gets your immune system ready to recognize the virus when it sees it and fights it. So, and we're not done yet. COVID is a very serious situation. So please, if you're my follower, I'd advise you to go get it. I've done that myself. It's important that you do so that we can all be safe and protect our loved ones also. But that's, by the way, let's talk football. Yeah, Mount has the COVID, just heard. Yeah, Mount is in the starting lineup, so which means he doesn't have COVID, because this is the starting lineup right now. And Pulisic as the front man, yeah, he hit us badly, but I think we have a good enough team to win the match. So it is true, Mount is in the lineup. Mount doesn't have it. These are the guys here. Let's go through it again. We have Timo Werner is out with, a few weeks, COVID-19. Romelu Lukaku, COVID-19. Late December, Mateo Kovacic, COVID-19. We know about that already. Callum Hudson-Odoi. I mean, it's actually a breakout at Chelsea. Yeah. Yeah, Bobby, as you can see, it is true. He's out, and we have the number 9 man there, Christian Pulisic. I'm not really concerned. Hopefully, he takes the opportunity. That he's had so many opportunities to stake a claim for a starting place in the lineup, but he hasn't, taken it. Hasn't, made a case for himself. Hopefully, he does that today. Yeah, it is a scary situation. Yeah, but it is what it is, and hopefully it doesn't come to the extent where football will be suspended again. I don't know what my life will be with that. Straight there, Mount is in the starting lineup. Yeah, you are correct. Mount is in the starting lineup. Chelsea, Everton, live free in HD. Okay, can somebody block this guy, please? Hope so, mate. Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you very much, Bobby. I appreciate that. Someone was trolling. Not really. As you can see, it is true. Those guys aren't even on the bench. They're not. Yeah. Why would they be on the bench if they have COVID? It's a big risk with COVID, and you're on the bench. That means you spreading the virus even more. So yeah. So I'm going to continue reading the messages until somebody comes to debate the lineup for me, and of which I don't think there will be much to debate here, because COVID has changed the situation, and nothing one can do about it. Says weak bench, I see, but Everton starting 11 is far weaker. That's when I get scared. That's when it scares the heck out of me. when we think we'll just mop the floor with the opponent, that's when it is. I fear that's what I fear the most because it doesn't seem. It seems that our players, you could argue, some of them, not all of them, aren't mature enough to like take every game seriously. Sometimes they. They underestimate opposition teams, and then we pay dearly for such games. Yeah, Mount is starting, which means he's not infected. Sorry, boss. Won't take a job because government says it's a must. It's your right, but that's my good friend. I'd advise you to do so. It is for you, not for the government. And really, it's not a must. I mean, you can take it and not. All right, 4 EPL games have been cancelled, so we're even lucky to have one on. Says I'm worried about us having 5 players with long COVID. I think, yeah, it's become it has become a worrying situation. The health is of the health of the players is a priority. That's true. But then again, when you have up to 5, 6 players out, I don't think it will lead to the FA saying, okay, let's postpone your games and play it at a later date when you have your players back and ready to play. I don't think the FA considers that. They do not care at all. Hopefully, it doesn't become that serious because a few games like Blue Cloud Stevie mentioned here, 4 EPL games have been cancelled. So that shows how serious the new variant is. They call it the Omicron variant. It is highly, should I say, contagious? Yeah. I'm worried about, I have read that before. It says it's the best possible lineup we can get, though. It really hurts to see we have no third striker in our squad. Yes, that's a very good point, Data. Even before the COVID outbreak in our team, because you could call it that, 4 players almost out with COVID, so it's an outbreak. We don't have a backup striker, a point man, if you like. It's just after Romelu Lukaku, we don't have any other defined striker in the squad, and that begs the question: why did we let Amanda Broya leave on loan? Or why did we not sign Dusan Vlahovic as a second striker? Even if we sign Lukaku, we are Chelsea, so we should have at least 2 recognized world-class strikers in the squad to get the job done for us. And when the other one is not playing, we have the other person playing, and you can play them both. Teams do play 2 strikers, so I just do not understand why we let Amanda Broya leave alone. But that's by the way. Yes, long COVID sucks. Hate that and not. Yep, it sucks, and it has changed our world forever. Big up to you, Just Viola. I appreciate your presence again. Big up my people, Steve Chelsea, my own brother. I appreciate seeing you around. So yeah, let's look at the lineup. I'll start from the back 3. In goal, mainly as I suspected, takes his place. Although I thought before that maybe Tuchel will start, starting Kepa Arrizabalaga in games, given that there's that possibility that Mendy will leave for AFCON in a few days, because January isn't far away right now. So it would be a good idea to start easing in Kepa Arrizabalaga into games gradually, so the move isn't drastic, so it doesn't seem as if you don't trust him. He only gets to play because Mendy has left for AFCON. So yeah, Mendy, as expected, is between the sticks, and I think he does a very good job. He protects, he offers more security whenever he is between the stick. And for the back 3, as expected, except for I didn't expect Cesar Azpilicueta to start there. I had expected Andres Christensen to start as a right centre back. At the right centre-back position, but for some reason, Tuchel prefers Cesar Azpilicueta. And also, you could argue we have a very solid back 3. Cesar Azpilicueta he's defensively minded. The only times that I'm usually concerned about him is his inputs going forward in the attacking area. Defensively, he remains a very, very solid defender, no matter even if it's 32 or 30, he does quite well defensively. Thiago Silva naturally is a leader. His camp presence, his pedigree as a player, his experience. I mean, whenever he's on the pitch, you can see his influence affects the stability of our defensive line, and it's good to see him there. So let me read a bit of the comments before I see while I wait to see if anybody finds time to join me in the panel so we can discuss. Yes, come on, Chelsea ladies. Keep us updated on the scoreline for that game. Didn't have it already have COVID. Actually, he suffered from a long COVID so much for natural immunity. That's another argument for scientists. I appreciate you highlighting that. Did I miss anything? Is Havertz, is he out with the COVID thing? No, I don't think he's out. He's not even on the bench. Let me know if I missed that. So Havertz is not even on the bench. Hopefully he didn't contact COVID again. Yeah, but that's by the way. Like I said, Bobby, I am not a doctor and wouldn't go into that much. So data says, why doesn't Tuchel use some academy players like Brian Fiabema and Javi? Yeah, I've heard about those two players, but I don't know them too much, and I cannot argue why. I don't know why Tuchel ain't using them because, since we have a depleted squad, this is an opportunity to give those youngsters the opportunity to gain the experience of the Premier League and then gain the confidence. And from there, a lot can happen. They can become even better players, given that you've given them the opportunity to do so. I cannot translate that. It probably has to say something that has to do with when the game starts. And please, if you're watching and you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please do so you don't miss anything. And do boot the like button, hit it as hard as you want, so that YouTube will push the video to even more people. Yeah, so let me look at the comments more. Steve Chelsea, okay, that's pleasantries between the people in the chat. Yeah, wish he would. Ziyech is match fit. Yep, he is match fit. He's been match fit. I think you could argue he didn't play the last game because Tuchel maybe decided to rest him because he's done quite well in the last few games that he's played. You've seen him switch spaces, eat up spaces, find players when they make the runs. And you've seen a more confident Ziyech on the pitch. So I even was surprised that he didn't start our last game. Yes, the future, yes. So Bobby says, I hear you, Kuchula, on letting players leave on loan, but keep in mind we can only register 25 players at a time. Who would have left out for Broja? That's an argument for another day, but I think we prioritize who stays and who leaves. I think Broja should be in the team. There are other players who you could argue up till now hasn't been of any benefit to the team and should have been, of which I understand the argument that some of them didn't want to leave. Some of them are on a very high salary and clubs wouldn't want to take them on loan. So there were solutions to that problem of letting some players go and keeping players that in the long run will be of great benefit to the squad. But unfortunately for us, we did not do that, and it's dangerous as you can see right now. So yeah, Kai is not even on the bench. So something isn't quite right. I don't know if he's contacted COVID again. Was a biochemist, won't do the job. Okay, you have your reasons, Queen. That's up to you. I don't want that to happen again. If that happens, it's a bad sign. Okay, thank you for that information, Data, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Yeah, Yes, and please subscribe. Get the channel so we can super chat. Oh, my friend, how I love you, Queen. I appreciate that. So please subscribe if you haven't. Chelsea perspective, you're right. We need our young stars at some point to do the job. I don't know what's wrong with TT. I wouldn't call it. I wouldn't categorize that as a problem right now because Tuchel is known to give young stars a chance. He did that at Dortmund. He did that at Paris Saint-Germain. And at Mainz, he did that also. So maybe he's not seeing the talent he wants, or for some reason, maybe. And you could argue we have a bloated squad right now because a few players they would have gone out on loan did not go. Yeah, a prime example being Ross Barkley, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. So he has even more players in the squad than he intended to keep due to the lack of the club's inability to find them loan clubs. So yeah, on Twitter, a little while back, Charles got COVID for a second time this year. Look, the truth is, this is not a medical stream. This is a stream for Chelsea Football Club. The truth is, getting the jab does not mean that you will not get COVID. The jab just protects you. Protects the infection from being severe when you get it. Your immune system is trained to combat it, so it doesn't hurt you that much. But without the jab, the likelihood of it becoming severe is very high. So let me see. I will try and share the link in the chat so that anybody that has time can join me so that we can debate the lineup. So yes, please check. I've added the link to the panel in the chat. So if you want to join us, please feel free so that we can debate the lineup. So moving on to the left centre back position, as expected, Rudiger keeps his place. I think as long as he's fit, ready to go, as long as he's rested. I think at this point he's not tired. He rested before the game against Leeds United, so you could argue that he's ready to go. So he keeps his place as always. So in the midfield section, I'm not sure why N'Golo Kante, he's on the bench. I'm not sure why he isn't in the starting 11. Here's my argument about N'Golo Kante not starting. I knew he wasn't going to start because Tuchel was clear on that during his press conference. So my concern is this: if you look at the 4 games under Thomas Tuchel, that we have conceded more than a single goal in a game, N'Golo Kante did not play in any of them. And that highlights its importance to the team. That highlights the problem, that the fact that we've conceded so much goals, and that is in his absence, as a result of lack of proper protection for our defense. Because the truth is, no matter how good Antonio Rudiger is, no matter how good Thiago Silva is and Cesar Azpilicueta, the more the opponents come at our defense, the more the opponents beat our midfielders and get our defenders. At some point, you could say 3 out of 10 times the opponents will be able to get a chance at taking a shot at our goals. So that's why I'm surprised, even though N'Golo Kante is ready, he's not starting, because it has become clear that we've conceded so many goals of late due to lack of proper protection for our defense. So before we continue, I'd like to welcome my brother and a friend who's over time become a brother to me, Ankit. Welcome back to Chelsea Perspective.
Hey, thanks. My pleasure, and always, great to discuss with you. And yes, I know times aren't ideal. It's not a normal kind of a scenario in the Premier League. And basically, I think they are, taking a call day by day. It depends on basically what's happening on the day. So yeah,
Yes.
then I was literally, I think this is the team news that we were all waiting for, maybe most eagerly after the Champions League final. To be honest, like that's how eager I was to see basically what is true, what is not. because a lot of reports were flying around today. We all know that, right? But I'm
Yes.
glad like we were able to definitely feel a strong 11. Again, thoughts go to anyone who's out due to COVID. But I'm first instance, I'm definitely glad. I know that we had what a midfield kind of an emergency whole of last month. Now I
Mm.
think this month, from what it seems like, it's going to be a striker emergency.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's basically
Yeah. I understand your situation. So let's move straight
yeah,
to the midfield. Here's the question I have for you. You're aware of how many goals we've considered in the last 2, 3, 4 games, right?
yeah. It's
Some
only
of
eight goals if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah, in
Three
total.
games.
And on the Thomas Tuchel, we've had situations where we've considered more than a goal. That is 4 times now, right? And in those 4 games, N'Golo Kante did not play in any of them. And that clearly highlights that the problem is because our defenders are not protected properly. And I just finished explaining a few minutes ago that no matter how good of a defense of the back line we have, the more the opponents get to them, the more the opponents ease past through the 2 6s and get at them 10 times, at least 3 times, they will get a chance to have a shot and goal. So the question is, why is N'Golo Kante, if he's fit enough to play, why is he on the pitch? Why don't we prioritize this game, get it over with, and then start thinking about the next game? Because that's the same thing. You remember, it was you and I who argued
Yeah.
that before our game against Zenit. We argued how important the game was and why
True.
it's important that we field our best players, win that game, top the table, and avoid meeting one of the top ranking European footballing giants in the next phase of the Champions League. But we didn't do that. And we were lucky to
Yeah.
even get a draw out of that game. And again, the luck followed us to the draws. We got Lille,
Yes.
which I
Exactly.
must let people
Twice.
know that would never be an easy game. So go ahead. Why leave N'Golo Kante on the pitch, on the bench, so to
See,
speak?
as in obviously you're kind of putting an argument here which is very valid, to be honest, Kochila, but as in the scenario was different there. I know it was more of injuries, but Tuchel still had a choice to make. Here, from what I understand, except for N'Golo Conte, maybe Saul, there's no one else. And even N'Golo Conte, like, again, he's on the bench, yes, but if you notice, the bench has only 8 people. It does not have 9 people. So maybe, as in, just for the sake of naming, Tuchel has named him. Like, to be very honest, I know he told that he's fit for the bench in the presser before the game. But again, knowing N'Golo Conte's history in terms of injury, knowing how important he is, as you said, I know it's an important game, no doubt about that. But we don't want a scenario where he comes back like after a month and again gets injured in the very first game and then he's out for another month. You know what I'm saying? Especially when we don't know what the scenario of the Premier League is. I understand that hindsight is a beautiful thing, so we rather kind of have the strongest 11 first up. But I would still basically take like 100% fit Loftus Cheek versus maybe a 70% fit Conte. Now that only Tuchel can tell you whether it's 70% fit or 100% fit, right? Now for me, knowing N'Golo Conte, what kind of history he's had, the muscle issues he's had, in a midweek fixture especially, where the opposition is playing youngsters and they will be motivated for sure to prove their point, and they have a place to grab with Benitez's side, which is already not doing well. So I
Mm-hmm.
would actually not risk Conte, as I know the same risk goes for Loftus-Cheek and Jorginho also. Like, even they are kind of open to injury, right? But N'Golo Conte is coming from injury, much as in recently compared to them. So I would just kind of have what Tuchel has picked. So I actually am with Tuchel on that. And yes, Saul maybe, as in you could argue that maybe Saul or even Barkley, because Barkley had a very good stint with Everton. Like, Everton probably made Barkley his name. So he could possibly just be up for this game. Who knows? So that could have been the only option, but not Conte for me.
Mm. So given what we have on the, let me just ask this question this way: given what we have on the bench, we have N'Golo Kante, Ross Barkley, Sawuni Guers, Andres Christensen, Malang Sarr, Trevor Chalobah is on the bench, Kepa Arrizabalaga. We don't know. Let's not talk about Marcus Bettinelli.
We
The
don't need
midfield, the
it.
2 6s here, would you say that's the best we can do?
Yeah, I actually agree with that totally, because again, these are the two people apart from Kovacic and Kante who have been playing most this season in midfield for us, right? So I would rather go for them who kind of have a little bit of partnership going. I know it's not been great.
Yeah.
Yes, we can't just play just because they're playing every week, but yeah, they probably have more understanding compared to, say, we saw what Barkley and Reece James did in that game, right? So we don't want to kind of experiment again. And again, Jorginho is defensively minded by default, and Loftus-Cheek has a build around him. So basically, it kind of protects the back four more compared to maybe a Sound. So I understand why they were picked, but yeah, definitely not Kante. I still go with what I said.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, let's look at the front three here. We have Mount on the left hand side of the 2-8, Hakim Ziyech on the right hand side of the 2-8, and Pulisic as the point now. You can say false nine. Uh, would you have done anything differently with those guys there?
No, I think I had in my as a preview, I did pick Mount and Ziyech, but obviously I expected Lukaku, who apparently is possibly having hasn't tested positive. So maybe as in Pulisic is the only option up front because he has played at false nine. I think in the Juventus game, I know his personal performance wasn't great, but as a team we clicked, right? So maybe that has something to it. And Barkley, yes, you can say that he could have played maybe where Mount is playing, and Mount could have played the false nine which he has at times last season in between games. So that could have been an option, but I wouldn't change that because Mount has been in terrific form, like literally terrific form recently. So I would actually continue Mount, behind the striker, and or maybe I didn't never know. I can also expect during the game this kind of lineup has more fluency because Pulisic can come to the left, Mount can come to number nine as well at times in between the game. So I think I would go with them again because again Ziyech brings that variation, and Mount and Pulisic are the people who can kind of run the chance to left or play that false nine.
Yeah, here's the thing for me. I wouldn't change the placement either. The structure, I think, for me is fine. And why I'd play Pulisic where he is right now is that again he's in a whole squad. He's the guy that times his runs into the box perfectly. He's hardly offside, by the way. If you've been paying attention to the way Christian Pulisic play, he's hardly offside. He times his run perfectly into the box, and if you can get that cross on the carpet in the air for him, he puts them away. Just my concern for me is just has been his utilization of the ball one on one with opponents on the flanks, whether left or on the right hand side, or on the left hand side, or in the midfield section. He seemed to be overwhelmed with the situation and not really sure what would do with the ball. Sometimes he tries to overdo it in terms of dribbling. Sometimes he holds on the ball too much. But I'll give it to him on how he times his runs into the box. He's the best in our squad, hands down. And if we can get the ball to him, I can assure you he will put it away. So I'm not. I wouldn't change anything in terms of the placement. And you could argue these are the three best players right now because
Yeah.
if they are given what we have available in the squad, I think they do a good job for us. And how do you think Ziyech will operate in this game?
Yeah, I think if I'm like again, it's my guess that Ziyech would have already been as in tipped to be starting this game. That's what I would have guessed. So I think for him the key is about as in passing those through balls, right? And that's something that he's best at, as in be it over the top, pinging those balls, or basically through the line. So he's someone that as in is key to his game about passing because at the end of the day the runners are going to be Mount and Pulisic, as you said, Pulisic especially someone who kind of runs into the box and is arriving there, and Mount is someone who can kind of get behind the defender. So for me again, Ziyech's passing is key. And another thing, Ziyech would very as in closely work with James on the wing because we know our wing backs. And in the beginning of the season, if you remember, Ziyech and James had something going as well, right? So that is something that I'm assuming definitely gave the benefit of Ziyech starting this game as compared to anyone else. But anyway, now that we don't have any options, anyway, he would have gone with that, right? But only thing, Kochila, I have one point here. So
Yes.
I don't know, like it is speculative, but it'll be interesting as to how Pulisic performs, especially because for me, and then again, we can only guess here. He wasn't going to be starting this game, is what I would have guessed, and he's starting because of the fact that Lukaku or Havertz are not available, and of course Werner, right? So those three are not available. So when, at what point was he actually informed by Tuchel, and how mentally prepared he is to actually play a different role? I know he played that role again 3 weeks ago, but again,
Here's the thing, Ankit. He's a professional player, and he. This is what he does for a living. So he should be ready. That's what good players do. You should be ready to perform whenever you're called upon. So I get your argument. Some players are like that. Some players, for instance, like Willian, when he was still at Chelsea, you could read from his body language that he hates being where he was in some occasions. And when you see Willian like that, he underperforms. But I think Pulisic, whenever he's called upon, he gives his best. Hopefully, I don't wish for any player to get COVID or get sick. I'd really like to see Pulisic flourish at Chelsea because he's got the talent, he's got the potential, and he should be ready to deliver whenever he's called upon. Whether he's told even 10 seconds before the lineup was released, it doesn't really matter. But the truth is, I think you were right. He wasn't going to start this game given his performances of late. He's had the opportunity to start at false nine. He's had so many opportunities under Thomas Tuchel, but that's an argument for another day. And it just, I think, hopefully he takes the opportunity now and keeps make that position his stake a claim for a starting place in the starting lineup because he can finish, make those runs. Hopefully they'll get the crosses to him. And I think I get your argument. And if you're not done with your MP, please go ahead.
No, I think that's about it because yeah, I think for me again, I know we'll be discussing Everton, but the fact about Pulisic and Mount starting versus like their young centre back and I think young back four is something that again can be kind of gone at. So I'm hoping that maybe at times Pulisic actually drifts to the wide and takes on people because he's actually better than maybe Mount in that respect alone. So I can actually see that happening, and again, I'm hoping that happens because I think Mount, as in playing that false nine, will work in this game for me more compared to Pulisic. So it'll be interesting to see, how often they switch, or if they switch, or if maybe even Mount starts as a false nine.
Great input right there. Now let's look at Everton's setup. Let's look at them. They set up 4-4-1-1. What do you think?
Yeah, that's Benitez for you, right? And then he has basically two balls, and then he has the two people. That's simple. Rafa Benitez will not change much. Let's be honest. But I think the interesting part is even in like I said, the centre backs. Yes, Keane is obviously very experienced now, but I think Brathwaite and I think Holgate playing at right back. Yes, he's very good, but Godfrey at left back is definitely someone that we would be taking on. So again, I won't be surprised if we actually target the right side, sorry, the left side, and we attack through our right. So I think Reece James will be absolutely key that side, and of course their central midfield is Gomez and Decore. So if Alan, who obviously is not fit, or maybe I don't know if he's tested positive, but Alan and Decore are a much tougher partnership to kind of break through. But I think Gomez, he's someone who's coming back from a long injury himself. And yes, he's had the recent 90 minutes, Andre Gomez, but I think playing back to back games, starting back to back games after coming, post a long injury is something that I can see maybe him not being, as quick enough or as strong enough. Like again, that's just basically going by the history. So I think again their midfield is not looking as strong as what it could have been. So I think it can be got at, and as well as the defense. And interesting part is their wingers, right, or rather the wide midfielders.
Yeah,
So they
yeah,
are. So we don't know what to expect, honestly speaking, because Gordon has been
yeah.
good. And I know that his finishing is lacking, but I think he's been really good apart from that. And I think again Kenny, I'm not too sure of. I think it's again a youngster, but I believe like that's the key, right? Sims, Kenny, and to some extent Gordon and Brathwaite. And these are players that Chelsea, even our management, wouldn't have really encountered. So for me, that'll be the interesting part as to how well they cope up with the situation. And I think Alonso, well, we all know his pace. I know he's great going forward. So I think
Hmm.
they will possibly target on counter maybe Kenny running at Alonso because that is something
Yes.
that as a youngster he'll obviously have the legs is what I'm assuming.
Yeah. Let me make a point clear here. That's about the Queen herself, Street Beer. I love you so much. It's not about the money for me. You know, I appreciate you and I respect you a lot. And by the way, I declare you the Queen of Chelsea perspective. You control the chat. I mean, you bring so much, you bring coordination to the stream. And that's why I always like to have you around. And I appreciate you so much, my friend. And you're always welcome to bring ideas on how we can make the stream better. So, yeah, it's never about the money for me. You're a great friend, and I've learned to trust you, Shribia. So thank you very much. Yeah, now I get back to looking at the lineup. Now, I don't know if I need glasses on. I'm not seeing Damari Gray. Do you
Yeah.
see him?
Exactly. So that's the interesting part. Everton, like if we are missing players, I think that's an understatement for Everton. Like they are literally not having any players for this. Like that's how I think Rondon missing, Demari Gray missing, and those are two very very important players for them in the current scenario. Of course, they were already missing
But I didn't
Richarlison.
hear anything about Gray being injured. Did you?
No, I think it's obviously as in again I'm saying it's obvious because of the situation what it is in England, but I believe that if not for basically him being tested positive, I don't see any reason why Demari Gray, because he's been the player of the season, should be dropped. In fact, if I'm not wrong, Townsend is injured. I know about that. That Townsend was injured, but I think Demari Gray is possibly
Yeah,
COVID positive.
here's the
Same,
injury list here. They have Yerry Mina, Tom
yeah,
Davis is injured, Richarlison is injured, Dominic Calvert-Lewin,
and Townsend.
and Andrew Townsend, but Damari Gray is not here. That begs the question: what happened? Is it COVID? I don't know, but just go ahead, brother.
Yeah, it should be COVID because come on, as in I know Iwobi has basically the potential, but we all know like Iwobi finishing is not even half of what he promised at Arsenal. So for me, Gray not being there definitely is going to be a reason of him being tested positive. Again, I think it was Thomas Frank, I think of Brentford. So they
Yeah,
basically had a press conference just a couple hours ago, and I heard that press conference as well. Like so even in between the press conference, a person came and they said there are four more cases. So he announced that okay, we have 9 cases, staff and players put together already, and there are four more cases. So it might have been something like that, similar to what happened at Brentford versus I think it was Watford, is it? I'm not sure, but basically that game, what happened? The same thing I think possibly would have happened Chelsea versus Everton. So again, I am again there's an assumption right now because I haven't heard myself Tuchel saying that, but Werner, Lukaku, definitely Havertz. These are 3 cases. Callum Hudson-Odoi, and of course Kovacic, right? So these are the 5 players at point that I know for sure will definitely be in that category. And for Everton, I definitely see Demari Gray being in that category. I think, if I'm not wrong, even Coleman is injured, and that's the reason why they're playing Bradford. But yeah, uh, I think other than that, I don't know if many cases. Rondon and Demari Gray, sorry, both would be maybe COVID positive, is what I'm guessing.
very possible. Because in the probable lineup that I looked at, uh, London was there, and he can be deadly in the air. We know him. I don't know why Big Club hasn't gone for him. He's a fine finisher if you can get the crosses to him. But
Yeah.
that's by the way. What do you think will happen if Everton if they defend deep, and that seems likely given the way they're set up, and it's
They will, they
looking
will,
like they're trying to overload the midfield area,
yeah,
where I think it's
and
obvious
counter.
now. Yeah, where it's obvious now that our players seem to struggle when opponents do that. When opponents defend deep, or when they overload the midfield area, or when they play high octane football like Leeds United and Brentford do, we struggle a lot. So how do
Yeah.
you think? What do you think would do if they defend it? Because
See,
Everton, I don't think they don't play high octane football. If they try it now, it will be problematic for them because they will tire out. It's not something they're used to. But most definitely, it's looking like they're going to defend a deep. If that happens, how do you think we'll approach the game?
See, more than anything, even they don't have anyone in the bench. I know in the bench they have Alan and Coleman, but from what I heard, they are not 100% fit either. So I think they will try to basically, as you said, play low block. And in other words, you know what they're playing? They're playing 4 centre backs and 4 central midfielders. Honestly speaking, right? They don't have like a proper wing back or a winger. So that means that they're definitely going to be, keeping the structure and what Benitez loves. We all know that he thrives of that, and that is the reason why I mentioned earlier. Like looking at that, firstly, that they're all centre backs at the back who are kind of playing out of place, especially Godfrey. I know Holgate is equally good at right back and centre back, but Godfrey is not good at left back. We've seen him make a mistake. I think he missed a simple clearance last game as well, which resulted in the goal. So for me, it is basically our wingers and wing backs will be the main, as in the aspect in this game in terms of our attack, and that is where I certainly believe that Pulisic at times should definitely go wide, but Mount should come in the middle because Pulisic is someone who is very direct,
Sorry, are
and
you
he
suggesting Mount coming into the middle?
yeah, in between the game. If you are not able to open them up, I am assuming that's going to happen eventually. Because Pulisic is more direct, he's someone who can dribble past
Yeah,
Holgate or
here's why I wouldn't support that. Because if you look at the issue we have with Alonso,
yeah.
he's good
Oh
going
yeah,
forward. Now, defensively, he's always suspect. Not taking anything away from him, he's a good player. By the way, on that content, nobody saw his defensive weaknesses until Conte left Chelsea. That's when I don't know why, I don't know what changed, I don't know if it has to do with his age or anything. Now, Mount has the energy on the left hand side of the 2-8 to always support Alonso, and that can help mask Alonso's defensive deficiencies. But if you and Mount can also do well defensively, he tracks back quite well, better than Pulisic does, better than Ziyech does. So I think Mount is better placed in that position on the left hand side of the 2-8 so that he can easily drop back to cover up for Alonso or support him. Because if he put somebody like Christian Pulisic there or Hakim Ziyech there, they don't defend quite as much as Mount does, and that creates a problem there. So I think Mount is better placed there. It might have been a strategic move to actually keep him there because we know Alonso has a problem. What do you think?
you have a great point there, definitely. As in, no two ways about it. In terms of basically us defending, as in, obviously, I think Jorginho, Rudiger, and Mount. Let's put it that way. All the three would be protecting Alonso. That's how it is at times, right? But again, it depends on the gameplay, Coachella. Like, yeah, imagine if Everton are all on the back foot and we are all attacking, but we're not able to open them up, and we're just kind of playing sideways. As in we're not able to kind of get that as in cutting edge in terms of going past players, and that is
Mhm.
something that as much as I love Mount, and Mount is possibly Mr. Chelsea, I don't think he's as good as Pulisic on that, right? So Pulisic is key, and again, Hudson-Odoi is someone who could have done that, but he's not available. There's no one on the bench who would actually. So someone who with that little bit magic, that ability. Yes, Mount has a great turn, but in terms of basically the direct dribbling is what I'm talking about, and that is where I believe that even a Ziyech I'm not very confident on than a Pulisic. So for me, Pulisic has to kind of be utilized in that way. I know it's just about this game right now, but as in if it comes down to basically say we are 60 minutes in and we don't have any particular as in attempt on goal or something like that, a clear attempt on goal, we need to change something for sure. And that is the time that I'm talking that as in the second half, for example. Like let's hope that it'll be an easy game because on paper we should be beating them easily.
Excuse me. Now, on paper, we should be winning that. That brings me back to this statement here. We know as Charity FC, hope we get the 3 points. I know you understand what Steve Chelsea mean there.
Yeah, I'll just take it up. So
Since this,
yeah,
since the beginning of this season, has there ever been a time where we faced a team and on paper we were supposed to win those games and we won those games and won them handsomely? Has there been anything like that this season? I'd say no. How about you?
I think maybe Norwich game is what I really believe. That was
It's not
obviously a big
Norwich.
game. Yeah, as I accept Norwich, I don't remember like it has been a cakewalk. Like I know Premier League is never a cakewalk, but again, Coachella, I think the difference now is different because it's clear that Everton are not only having injuries, but there are COVID cases also, right? As in, so it's really weak. And yes, even we are missing what 4 5 players. As in, to be honest, if you include Kante and Chaloba, it's possibly 6 or 7 players, right? But that's our level of squad. That our level of squad should definitely be much better than them. Despite I know it's Premier League and basically we've not done that in the past, but even the scenario of the table, right? As in hopefully after that last Leeds game, we could have had the lead kind of, or rather Man City is now what, technically what, 5 points ahead of Chelsea. I know we have a game in hand, this game in hand, but imagine a situation where we don't get 3 points. As in, it's very early to say, but we are already, as in really chasing Man City. It's very far. So I hope that we are able to get to know the importance of the game. Yes, things are not normal off the pitch, but I think it's very important that Tuchel and the management kind of get things right in terms of the team talk, and that's where obviously the captain comes as well. So Aspilicueta being on the pitch is very important for me today.
Yeah. So here's another one for you. We seem to be top notch against big teams, top four teams, or you know big six teams, or whatever, however you want to phrase it. But when we face bottom table teams, mid table teams, it's a problem, and that's where people coined the phrase "charity FC." Why do you think that is? Because in the era of Frank Lampard, Didier Drogba, things like that don't happen. We only have issues when we play big teams. Would you say it's a mentality thing, or what is it? Because the phenomena is real. The
Yeah,
charity FC phenomena or factor, if you like, it's real and it's a big problem. Is it a mentality thing or what?
no,
Or do
I
we
don't
have too
think it's
many
mental.
young players in the team?
No, no. I think the fact is about, like, let's put it that way. Like, remember the time when we had Aiden Hazard in the team, right? So
Yes.
Hazard was a person, again. He could do things like in a second, and he was a person who often got that kind of assist in those kind of games that you're talking about, right? We won a lot of games 1-0, 2-1, if you remember, and such were the games where Hazard used to be a person. And the moment Hazard left Chelsea, for the last couple of years, we are already seeing this problem has been with Chelsea, right? And it's with many big teams. Like, again, Manchester United, other teams that we know also face this issue, because now it's not only about Chelsea. The opposition also turn up. One, yes, they play low block, they play defensive football. That is not something that maybe our attackers are having enough kind of tricks in them, because their experience level is not as much as maybe say a Man City has with Mahrez, for example. So that is something that hopefully in time, say a Pulisic, they kind of turn up in such games. But apart from that, we are champions of Europe, right? So this season especially, it's very clear that every pressure before the game, almost every opposition manager has mentioned that come on, this is the best team in Europe. So you heard that. So the players themselves really, are bringing up on the occasion. So that's what's happening, along with obviously us not having that level of ability what say Hazard had, what maybe Amaris has. I'm just kind of putting it out there, because yes, let's be real. We know we have great players. Even Havertz, for instance, fantastic on his day when he's good, but there are times when they go off. I don't think it's a mentality issue. It's about just having that consistency in terms of experience. So one who kind of wins, kind of gets in his blood, right? That's what happens, and that is what teams of the yesteryears of Chelsea had. Hopefully, like, again, in course of time, like, that's very important, because for us, if we win the Premier League, we don't want to kind of give it away, and that is the only thing which is kind of missing in this team. I feel the Premier League has been a long time, and for me, as in, yes, the Champions League was fantastic, but week in week out football is something that they have not excelled yet, and that is the next step. So hopefully, yeah, then this would certainly be the year that we'll see that. Again, we took a lot of chance when it comes to signings. We've signed the best players, the best youngsters in Europe in the last few years. It's about them kind of clicking together, and obviously it's Tuchel's job as well, partly. But I actually see it happening. It's just the time of the year that we are in, that we are having so many games, and of course the COVID times that we are in. I think because of which we are not having as many options. But I think in attack in recent games we have not had issues in terms of options. So I think it's about them just clicking together and nothing else.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think the next step is playing consistently week, maintaining consistency week in week out, and not have drift in and out of form. So it's important that we maintain, because I haven't seen this team. when you think they're going to go for a stretch of great performances, and then before you know it, it's just boom, something starts happening. It just made me start thinking maybe this is a mentality thing, and I hope that changes. Maybe like like you did put it, it needs just to gel together properly, and then start maintaining a consistent performance. Week in, week out, and not just the Champions League alone doesn't define greatness. I think they need to, start performing when or during festive periods like this, or against smaller oppositions. No disrespect to any team. So, Anki, before we come back to this comment on the screen from the Queen herself, what type of game? Because we have a few minutes to round up, about 4 minutes or so. What? And again, sorry. Before I continue, if you're watching, we have about 30 people watching on Facebook, and a total of 40-something people. Please, whatever you're watching from, come check out Chelsea Perspective YouTube channel. And if you like what you see, please don't forget. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel so that you will get notification whenever we go live or whenever we put out a new video. So, Ankit, overall, what type of a game do you expect, and what do you think the result will be? And then we'll round up with the Queen's comment that's on the screen right now.
So I think this game will certainly have mistakes. It's about just maybe Everton being able to keep their structure, which I'm sure Rafa Benitez would be hoping that he thrives on in this game. Yes, there has been discontent in the camp, and again Luca Digne is not there, and that's interesting for me to see. I'm sure that's a point of discontent. So considering that, it's about them keeping the shape and us opening them up. And again, they have youngsters in the wings, so I'm looking at them maybe having a mistake or two, but at the same time, as in those are youngsters who can kind of have nothing to lose. So I can see us getting countered, and like you pointed out, Alonso's side is a possible opening for us. Let's be honest, he's great going forward, but I am still not as confident, when it comes to defense. So yes, I can certainly see a very close game, and I'm actually calling it a late winner for Chelsea, and it will not be as easy as what people think. Again, let's hope I'm wrong, but I'm actually looking at a 2-1 victory with Chelsea kind of
Hmm.
moving on.
Okay, for me, I'd say it's a 2-0 victory for me. Let's see. And you know what happens if you get the score line correctly. Reach out to me if that happens. So, what do you think about this coming from the Queen herself? Should be a want Billy Gilmore back, bought his shirt,
Uh,
then Chelsea loaned him out. Sorry to hear that you they had to loan him out when you bought his shirt. What do you think? Do you think would that have been better of having him at the club than loaning him out?
Yeah. So firstly, I don't know if you're hearing some background noise. There's some work going on here, but yeah, in terms of Billy Gilmore, I actually believe that as in it's more about Billy Gilmore and his camp wanting football than basically Tuchel not deciding to loan him out, or maybe Chelsea deciding to loan him out, because as in for sure, I know that Saul had a big name in Europe, but someone who's already going to be playing as fourth choice midfielder, Billy Gilmore was doing that last season, so there was no reason to send him out, and he was doing well in the games that he came in. I just remember one single mistake is Man City, and I don't see a single mistake otherwise that I remember of. So it's again a lot of things we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, and there are like ifs and buts. But for me, Billy Gilmore clearly wanted, and I think he kind of deserved first team football, and that is where I think we did the right thing. It's not worked out for him. That's a different thing. That's not in our hands, right?
Yeah, but from an individual perspective, when you see him playing, you know he has that talent in him. He just doesn't have good enough players around him, and I'm surprised some people saying he's been on his underperformed. No, he hasn't. He was able to even to deal with CR7 himself, and his performance was obvious that day against Manchester United. It just they weren't pragmatic enough. They were just busy playing sexy football and not doing enough to win that game, because they could have won. But that's, by the way, again, I'm sorry it's a bit too late now, but I'm gonna leave Ankit's information. He has a great channel, Almighty Blues FC. He has some trivia shows, and every of his video is very educating for you as a Chelsea fan. You have a lot to learn from Almighty Blues FC. Every video he put out, you have something to learn. Enjoyable, fun, very different, very unique, and that's how I like it. And I can assure you, if you go check out his videos, you're not gonna regret it. And I'll make sure to leave his complete information in the description section so that you can go check out his channel. And don't forget to send me a thank you note when you get to see the content of Almighty Blues FC. And special thanks to the Queen herself, Street Beer, who's been in the chat and always supporting the channel. Bobby Fairview, I love you guys so much. Josh Viola, great people. Steve Chelsea, Phantom of Many Colors, and Data, who always supports the channel on Twitter whenever he has time, and every other person that joined the chat. Please, if you haven't, put the like button, smash it if you like, punch it if you like. Just click on the like button so that we can reach more people. And if you haven't, subscribe to Chelsea Perspective so you don't miss anything. I love you guys, and hopefully we get a win today. And that is it from me, Kachila. I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.